I love a game that makes a vivid, strong first impression, and that's what happened when I saw the gameplay trailer for Tingus Goose. This is a mobile game, and I don't mobile game, so I wasn't aware of it, making its PC debut, removing all microtransactions and making it a holistic whole experience that you can just play without having to worry about it once you've bought it, that's going to try and eke any more cash out of you. With Tingus Goose, the idea is that you are trying to breed geese. And so you will plant a seed inside a patient. In the wonderful body horror cartoon weird surrealness that's going on in this game, it will usually explode out of the stomach or head of that poor patient and will start to grow. But it only grows if you feed it money. And every time you feed it, the amount of money required to feed it goes up and up and up exponentially. And the idea is that for each of the chapters in the game, and there's 17 in total, you will rise up to meet the goose in the sky, mate in some weird horrific animations that are going on, and then that will then generate a new seed implanted into a new patient that will generate the next level, and on you go. The way how you generate cash though is that as your goose gets taller, its neck gets longer and it will start to create something called a blossom. Now blossoms will eventually bloom and they will become elements of the goose that you can then arrange on the left hand side or right hand side of the neck. And these are important because you'll want to structure them in a way to create a chain reaction. Why? Because the only way how you gain money in this game is by banking babies that are spewing out of the goose's mouth. Now this will happen automatically and the baby will just fall from the sky, land on the ground and jump into the piggy bank, and that will get you a very tiny amount of cash. What then makes them more cash worthy is if they hit, bump, walk, tumble, get fired, or kind of tickled or crawl around, all of the different contraptions that you generate from the blossoms that are being put onto your goose. And so some of them will be stairs, elevators, conveyor belts. Some of them will just be like tree branches that then might generate cash, like as they get stuck in a little windmill trying to escape. Some of it might then eat it through like a little weird bird on one side and then poop it out the other side. And so what you're doing is using this kind of left-right mechanic to try and create a constant tumble-top staircase of chaos, that every time the baby hits something, it's increasing the score multiplier, therefore making it even more powerful when it gets down into that piggy bank at the bottom to then generate more cash for you. Because as the cash required to grow the goose just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you're going to need to think about how you can just keep up with the speed of things. And this is where that idle element comes in, because if you aren't going to be super optimized in the way how you structure all of this by moving around the different elements of your Tingus Goose and using the full width of the screen, for example, because you can really cascade out back and forth, then it might take a while for you to generate cash. But you don't need to muck about with the idle bit very much at all if you really focus on how can I optimize my monstrosity of a goose so that I can then generate as much cash as possible. As you grow throughout each of the chapters, you'll also hit different limits that will then generate gems for you. And one of the first things you'll unlock is a 4-minute shop where a little concierge comes along and is like, hey, do you want to order some blossoms or stat upgrades? And these are ordered with gems that you'll collect as you ascend through the sky. And what's good about this and what makes Tingus Goose exponentially more interesting the more that you play is that every time you complete a chapter, all of the blossoms and the mechanics that you are have played with in that level then become unlocked and part of any other level that you want to muck about with in the future. They just need to generate in the shop for you to use them. But you can then buy them and keep them in your arsenal and then keep going back to them and kind of mixing and matching as you go so that you can optimize how you see fit. And early on in the game, you really do have free range because there's very little in your environment to get in the way. But from the second half of the game onwards, level design starts to become more of a consideration because there might be floors you need to break into that then means the babies will crawl across it and drop out a hole like all the way over on the right or left hand side, and you're thinking, okay, I need to build my Tingus Goose to try and pull that back a bit. And some of the blossoms can be stretched out quite a long way, some can't, and you need to kind of take that all into consideration. And then there's other places where you might be stuck with like windowsill ledges and windows that you need to kind of build around, or candles that mean that you can't place anything like really nearby that's of value. So you might have to just play with like little tiny bounce pads that will just flick the baby down as you go, because that's all you can fit inside. Or you might want to kind of build off to the side so that you can keep things going. It's entirely up to you, and that's what I really like about Tingus Goose. It gives you all the foundations of lots of things that you can muck about with, but really it's up to you to get going with it. Alongside the gems that you use for each chapter and nothing carries over, there is then an overarching skill tree bought with calcium, delicious, that then allows you to unlock other things that the concierge can bring, or different bonuses that you can unlock that then means that the Tingus Goose maybe spawns babies faster for 3 minutes, or babies are going to bring more money for 3 minutes. Or it could be that your starting cash is much bigger so that you can generate some money much quicker and faster, so that the early part of the game is feeling less incremental and you can just get a boost and go, and then try and work out on the longer terms how to structure things better. You can also then unlock the pooping options, which then means that some of the blossoms will just poop, and that poop can actually be very helpful, especially if you start pooping corns of poop. That can really help boost your coffers. And yeah, it's just a really well put together experience. The body horror is constantly making me go, this is slightly icky, but I really like it. And crucially, it's all about that optimization. And I found it strangely addictive to be sitting organising exactly how my babies were going to tumble top down my goose so that I could generate as much cash as possible. Thoroughly enjoyable. It's one of those games that actually has more in under the hood and surface than you maybe give it credit for. But if you do want to just have it as an idler game, you can totally do that too. It just means that it will take you far longer to progress through the game if you're not too interested in being super optimal on your strategy and your build. Tingus Goose is out today, and I give it 2 double honks for love.